Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation about the SNK fan survey results. This is ad lib, so there are some things that may not be clear right now. We might get some more information or figure out what it really means later on, but we're going to look at the results just right now because they've just finished yesterday. So there are, I think, 6 sections: identity, comments about KOF in general, comments about the Neo Geo World Tour, comments about SNK, and of course miscellaneous, which is talking about social media. Then finally with Samurai Showdown. So we had 939 responses, and looking at the location of our respondents, we can see a high percentage from North America, followed then by Europe, and then by South America, and then we have Asia. So we've got a good spread. We've also got people from Africa, Australia, and even Central America as well. And some people just decided to put no answer. Okay, so we could even do that in a pie chart like this, and you can see that the majority, of course, 40% of voters are from North America. Good job, good job. Right, so let's move on to the age groups. So apparently, we have nobody under 13. Nobody under 13, and we had 8 people who were between 13 and 18. Cool. Second place goes to 334 respondents saying they're between 18 and 30. With then the biggest amount of people are actually over 30. Now that says a lot, I think, about the fan base and what SNK is trying to do and how they could capitalize on this. When the I think when the older people say they really want something, it might be a good idea to listen, because of course finance is a different matter, but if the fan base are older and they make up more than half of your fan base, if you want to please the fan base, then you kind of need to think about this particular section. And thinking about older tastes versus newer tastes, you can see how SNK is going to have a problem trying to please everyone here. But if you look at KOF 14 as an example, you can see Shun-A is a kind of new, kind of archetype, stereotype, younger character. But bringing back characters such as Oswald, I think, is definitely a good idea. Of course, thinking about what the older generation and the newer generation like in characters and what appeals to them, we might find a lot of similarities, and we might want to look at this more. But just generally speaking, if I was SNK, I would definitely pay attention to the needs of my older audience. And just to add to that, that might also mean, for example, re-releasing older titles, or maybe even refreshing older titles with older playstyles is definitely something to pay attention to. But again, we could do more research on this. But I think the older generation are definitely, if you look at it in a general way, older people are more conservative, more resistant to change. They don't want really new things unless it's still in the kind of flavor that they like. So it's interesting talking about things that, for example, I think this question's coming up next actually, so I'm going to stop talking about that and let's move on to the next question, and we'll see what people are saying. So how do you identify yourself? So here, as you can see, the majority of respondents are from the fighting game community. At least they identify as that. Second highest amount identify themselves as gamers, and then finally, how many is that? 155 respondents identified themselves as fans. And it's quite interesting because the word fan itself can mean a few things, but when you think about it, if you compare this to gamer, it's very interesting because a fan means they're kind of like everything about SNK or KOF or the franchise, whatever it is, whereas the gamer wants to play the game. Fighting game community is kind of similar, it's kind of a mix of both, so whatever, but they're part of the community who knows all about the games and the scene. So that's very interesting. Some people just didn't know what to say, just thought, yeah, I'm not any of these, and that's cool. Right, let's move on. Just thinking, is this well, yeah, exactly. Fans, gamers, FGC, out of these two here, the FGC and the gamers, FGC and the fans, I think it's interesting. In my opinion, I think these two particular groups are the ones that SNK needs to pay attention to if they want to maintain that base. The gamers want to play games, and I think they just want good games. So, things like story mode, things like additional skins, they might not be interested in. They might be more interested in the actual gameplay itself. So there's interesting. It's interesting to see how these people then put in their opinions and affect the results. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what else they say about that. Let's move on. Right, so talking about the Neo Geo World Tour, right? The comment here was, I was happy to see King of Fighters 98 on the tour, and the range of opinions which we're going to use for a lot of these answers is I agree, I disagree, I agree a little, moderately, and I extremely agree. Okay, so let's talk about that again. So we start from disagree, I agree a little, I agree moderately, and then I extremely. Right, so let's have a look. So again, the question was, I was happy to see King of Fighters 98 on a tour. Remember, this is a very old game. It's a very old game, and again, if you look at the people who are responding to this survey, we've got fans, gamers, and FGC. Most of them were extremely happy to see King of Fighters 98. And again, that ties in with what we were saying about how older games could be something that SNK could focus on because people still like this game. As a gaming company, to produce new games, that's great. That's what they want to do. New things, amazing things, developments. But there is still a group of people that maybe don't want to play new games, or maybe they just want an improvement or an additional, additions and upgrades to their favorite game. But like I said, that still needs more and more data to figure that out. But I think we've done some surveys on that already. But anyway, it has to be said, sometimes people say things they don't really mean, but we just have to take this at face value, right? So everyone's really, really happy. Let's see. Just make sure I haven't got this in the wrong order, but some people, there was 53 who said no answer, right? And we had 28 people who were not happy to see King of Fighters 98, and that's interesting because if you see the scale here, it shows that 98 is not everyone's favorite. It has to be recognized. It's not everybody's favorite. So some people, of course, want different KOF. So it's interesting to see. Some people was like, meh, okay, whatever, 98, yeah, okay, whatever. But that's a clear majority. So I got that concludes that KOF 98 is extremely popular game. I think that's clear enough. So moving on, I want to buy 98 Final Edition on modern console with net play. Okay, so we're using the same scale. So 1 would be disagree, 2 I agree, 3 I agree a little, 4 moderately, and 5 I really extremely agree. Moderately, I agree moderately. Yes, so it's I agree a little, I agree moderately, and I very much agree, and then I extremely agree. Okay, woo. Right. So again, this is always a touchy question because, of course, I mean, if you look at Final Fantasy VII, for example, it's like, well, you know, a lot of us love Final Fantasy VII, and then we want the remake, and you're like, yeah, great, HD graphics, and you're like, wait a minute, you've changed the system, and then you're charging me $70, and it's only episode 1. And so some people might change their actual intention to actually buy it, but that's probably going off topic a bit, actually, because this is just saying I want to buy 98 FE on console. So it's not really about updating or changing anything. It's just having the port on a modern console with net play, which, you know, Code Mystics have proved they can do rollback, they can do the most amazing net code, so it should be possible. But I think SNK needs a push to show that it's actually worth their development time. Okay, so let's see. Look, I've got 76 with no answer. I've got 337 people saying yes, definitely want to buy it, and disagreements coming up with I agree, and a little, and maybe. So it's an interesting selection, interesting amount of people who are like, nah, yeah. And I appreciate this because, as we said, SNK has to spend this time on development, and then it's like, well, okay, you wanted King of Fighters 97, okay, and here it is with roleplay, okay, who's playing it? And then you hear, you know, lots of other reasoning for why people are not buying it, why people are not, playing it, but you have it, yeah. So it's a tough one, but if we go with this data, apparently your people are ready to buy it, so that's a good sign. That's a good sign. But it's still also interesting to see that there is some definitely there is some movement against not buying it, and that's a. I mean, if you count all this up, right? If you count all this up, it's quite, you know, because this is very, you know, it's extremely agree, but this amount of feeling, which is basically like, that's not a guaranteed buy, is it? And that's a significant amount of people. 100, so 232, 300. I can't count. 370. Let's say 350 versus 337. So it's like, I mean, 79 definitely won't buy it, but these guys are more like, but these guys definitely want to buy it. So it's, you look at it like that, it's not exactly super convincing, but you know, that's something SNK has to think about. So then we go, I was happy to see King of Fighters 14 on the tour, and what do we got? Generally positive, very positive response, and as you can see there, yeah, that's really good. It's really good. So it's clear King of Fighters 14 was people were happy with that. Nothing else to say, really. It's good. Now, I want King of Fighters 15 to be more simple. This is the raging debate, and already, well, we'll see what happens with Guilty Gear. But by the time Guilty Gear is released, I'm sure King of Fighters 15 will already be set. Their system will already be set in stone. So whatever the response to Guilty Gear will be, SNK will have to just deal with it, because it will be too late for them to change their system. So it's very, very interesting to see what the people are saying about this. So the statement is, I want SNK, I want King of Fighters 15 to be more simple. Let's see what people say. I disagree. Versus, I really, really would like to see this. Let me just check I didn't think yet. I extremely agree. Goes down to 64. And of course, you know, again, you've got to think about the gamers, the FGC, and the fans. And you think about how difficult it is to play fighting games. And KOF is definitely known for lots of things you can do, and the kind of speed you you need to have fast reflexes. But the people say no. We like complexity. We like deep deep fighting games. And that's interesting because, you know, if you look at Samurai Showdown, it's simple, but it's still deep. You still have to make choices. You still have to think about positioning and things. So it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting to see. But we'll see what happens with the next KOF. But hey, generally the fan base is like, nope, no, we're good. And it's very interesting because, you know, one of the things to make KOF more simple is to remove max mode. Max mode has been a real point of debate because a lot of people say, I don't like max mode, I don't like being reliant on max mode. But here's the data. So, you know, of course it's more complicated than that, and some people, you know, love the max mode, they love being creative and they love doing combos with it. So you know, the auto, you know, and it also depends on, you know, if you look at King of Fighters 13 versus King of Fighters 14, the max mode has become a kind of, you know, a lot of people say this, it's become a kind of just do it automatically without thinking and just seeing what you can do when that arrives. I don't really have a problem with that. That's the flavor for KOF 14. If you don't like that, play KOF 13. But then we go back to, well, KOF 13 is not on the modern consoles, but maybe we'll see about that later. So there we are. In the end, people don't want it to be simple. That's done. Let's move on to story mode. Now, a full story mode, like KOF 13, is important to me. And for those of you who have played other fighting games such as Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear, you know that the KOF 13 story mode is good, but other story modes are much more full. So, but also with actually less playing in it, which is interesting. So some people would like a visual novel in their game. Okay, that's still a lot of resources, and shout outs to Ogura-san, whose wrist is probably in pain right now at just the idea of it. Let's have a look at the results. Okay, so again, thinking about the gamers, the FGC, and the fans. Now the fans I expect should be here because, you know, this is what makes you interested, you know, when you're not beating people up. As a younger fan, I was really much into the King of Fighters 97 story. I mean, really, that was really amazing to me, and it was really, really interesting. And then, of course, you know, playing the other titles of the series, you want to play with all the teams to find out parts of the story and things like that. And it, you know, King of Fighters 14 I didn't really feel it. But that might be another discussion for, like, just the general feeling of people when they get older and they've seen everything before and stuff like that, or just storytelling. But at the moment, as you can see, it's not, I mean, you know, okay, it just says, yeah, I agree, but it's also, there's also a good amount of people that are like, well, no, probably just want the game to work, which is interesting because also when we have people complaining about an arcade mode and you know, a game that's not full, you know, King of Fighters traditionally is an arcade mode, and all of that story stuff was just in between rounds. It was a few lines of dialogue. That was it. We had to use our imagination to fill it up, and we were happy with that. It was $60-$70 for one game, arcade game with a practice mode. All right, survivor mode. Okay, that's it. But now people want a lot more. They want a lot more story mode. They want challenges, the trials. They want story mode, things like that. So it's interesting to see that the majority that wants story mode, but there's a selection there that doesn't feel that that's important. But maybe they do want other things like trial mode, and so I think trial mode is important. But it's very interesting to think about the evolution of trial mode and how it's kind of decreased since King of Fighters 13 has a very, very big drop. But I have read people who have been very, very happy with that because it's done. They got their trophies and they're happy. Like, yay, I've done it. Played the game. Yay. Trial mode in King of Fighters 13 is a much, much different story. And a lot of people are quite upset with that because it's too difficult. It's a challenge. But how to make people happy. What a job. So that is the data for story mode. Let's go on to back to Neo Geo World Tour. Did we have a good global representation in a Neo Geo World Tour? And it's definitely something I think SNK needs to take note of, because of course they have their World Tour coming up very, very shortly. So we like to see, of course, qualifiers all over the world to represent, right? It's a World Tour, it's a World Championship. So let's see if people were happy with that. Yes, they were, but as you can see here, they're like, yeah. This is really small, so that's good. Otherwise, people are like, yeah. But you can feel that there's something there. Not that happy, maybe because their country was not represented, and it's very interesting. I can't really, tell you. Well, I could, but that's find out exactly who was voting this and where they came from, and maybe they didn't have a representative or even enough representatives. So it's very, very interesting. But it's generally positive. It's generally positive. It'd be much worse if it was the other way around. So it's generally positive. So that's good. All right. The Neo Geo World Tour was overall a great series of events with an amazing final. Big statement to make. Did you agree with it? Generally, yes. Okay. Very, very small amount of people. 11 people just said, no, I didn't like it. No, I disagree. Right. Generally speaking, it was great. So that's good. That's really good. Well done to the Neo Geo World team. They got generally a positive. Very positive. Very, very positive. This is still positive. Positive response. And I'm going to press this button because I want to see what it does. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Right, good. Okay, that's clear. Let's go to... now, this is interesting. So, when the Neo Geo World Tour Season 2 Finals was announced, I knew all about the tour. This is an important question because we get to understand what reach the announcement has and had with these groups of people, because when you post on social media, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to see that message. So we need to see, sometimes you need to post continuously, sometimes you need to just spread, ask other people to spread, and word of mouth and things like that. So let's have a look if people knew about it. Whoa, so as you see here, it's a much more complex question, an answer rather. So 84 people had no idea about the tour when they heard about the finals, and that's bad. That's bad. That means that Neo Geo World Tour is still not big enough and has not spread enough amongst those groups of people, so that it's known. And that's quite important, of course, because if everybody knows about the tour, and then everybody knows about the stream, everybody knows about the competition and the places to enter and the qualifiers and all the systems and everything, so then we can all see the finals together or something. So 3, yeah, I moderately agree. So, okay, you kind of knew. Yeah, not sure how this really works. But anyway, so 152 people definitely knew about everything out of the selection of people. We've only got 1,000 people, and 56 people just didn't want to answer this question. Okay, thanks. That's great. Some people don't care about Neo Geo World Tour. All right, fine. And these guys are like, yeah, moderately, or very much, very much, whatever. So moderately and very much agree. But it's, yeah, that's... So, in all, it shows that, as everybody does, if they want to spread the message, we have to work a lot more on advertising and marketing and spreading the word. And that also falls on us fans to help everybody else know. Well, maybe the fans know, and the FGC knows, but we have to tell the gamers. Okay. Right, so let's look at the next section. How much do you agree? Neo Geo World Tour made me interested in King of Fighters 98. What do you think is going to happen here? Do you think people watched the Neo Geo World Tour for the first time and then thought 98 is an amazing game, even though it looks like the oldest thing in the world? Or maybe they saw the tournament and they thought, you know what, I need to go back to 98 because this is a great game. Let's have a look at what people said. Whoa! Whoa! What happened here? Wow, what a variety of answers. So, 127 people said, no. This Neo Geo World Tour did not make me interested in King of Fighters 98. Now, remember, that also means they might have already been interested in King of Fighters 98. But it's very, very interesting to see that you have this very big contrast here where people became interested because of Neo Geo World Tour. And I think just looking at that, I mean, wow. And this 77 people just don't want to answer. But this shows that if everyone had voted here, that would be that's it. But this shows a clear impact of Neo Geo World Tour on the King of Fighters 98. It's woo. But no answer from 77 people. Okay. If you are one of the people who entered this survey and you didn't really understand this question or you didn't like the answers, do let me know, because it's very, very interesting. I'd like to know what people were thinking when they put this in. But there we have it. So, you know, it's still the highest number here, but yeah, I'm kind of not interested, kind of interested, a bit interested, moderately, very much interested, moderately, very much, and definitely interested after the World Tour. Okay, done. How much do you agree? Let's see the next section. Now it's the same question, but it's about King of Fighters 14. So because of the tour, what did you do? Now look at the difference here. Did you become interested in King of Fighters 14? This big fat number here, very, very, very clear contrast here. And here, you know, this is still strong as well. Again, it can mean they don't care. But why are you watching the Neo Geo World Tour? So we have to assume that in fact, that these people were already interested in the game. But this is interesting because it shows they were interested definitely after or because of the Neo Geo World Tour. So it's definitely good news. The World Tour is not exactly a cheap thing for everyone involved, apart from the winners maybe. But there's definitely an impact, definitely. And 67 people don't care, but that's fine. Right, so yeah, King of Fighters 14, eh? Yeah, I was a bit interested again, but 98 too. Conflicting. So that's that. Now, next question. Because of Neo Geo World Tour, I want to watch more tournaments. Very, very interesting question. Let's see what people responded with that. Wow, this is amazing. This really is. It really is amazing, right? Very positive response. Only 33 people and 59 people who didn't respond. 39 people said no. These people here generally want to see more tournaments. That's really good. You know, more world tours, more prizes, more hype, more interest. I think that there is definitely impact of tournaments on the actual gamers and the fans and the FGC. They just want to. It's just kind of natural to kind of be more interested in watching, in spectating, and playing is different. But at least, you know, watching can be very, very easy. You know, so it's an entertainment. So if you want to watch tournaments, that's great because people need to play as well, and you know, there's all kind of links between everything. So. Yeah, I would say I would look at this if I was SNK. I would look at this and go, okay, so world tours and tournaments definitely a good thing, and you know, have to say it's usually cheaper than just direct advertising. So, you know, you can use tournaments as a platform for showing off your new products and spreading news and things like that. So, you know, once your people are watching the screen, you have your advertising channel right there. And if you can control this, you don't need to advertise anything in any other medium. It's fine. Right, so that's about that. Let's look on to the next one. Because of Neo Geo World Tour, players are more interested in SNK games. How much do you agree? Okay, let's have a look. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Clearly positive. Here it's not even disagreement. These people don't care. But very, very clearly agreeing. Right? Very, very clear. People are more interested in SNK games. Okay then. Good. Wonderful. Okay, let's move on now to talking more about the Neo Geo World Tour and their information and how it gets to you. So talking about social media, does Neo Geo World Tour get to you? Does it reach you through social media? Let's have a look at responses. Gradual climb. And 41 people didn't respond. People just like, you know, trying to, you know, get right. All right. So yeah, pretty good. But at the same time, you're like, well, you know, I'm not particularly confident in social media, and I know as a channel operator myself, if you want to reach more people, you can have 20,000 people on your page on Facebook or whatever. If you really want to reach them, if you want to have your news appear in front of them in the feed, in the timeline, you need to pay them. So of course, the more people you want, the more you have to pay. So yeah, it's an expensive habit. So it's something to think about. Social media is a blow up, whatever that means. But I feel like sometimes social media is like, you know, the good old days when people would just visit your website every day. People choose what they want to see, not just have things appear in front of them randomly because somebody's paying. That's a bit like TV, but anyway. But there you are, problems of the new age. So now, interesting. I want to attend Neo Geo World Tour as an entrant or spectator, right? So it's not just about gaming, it's just about watching. I would like to go to one of these World Tour stops. Let's see what people are saying. Generally, yes, but it's a lot of people like, meh. So it's interesting. So I'm assuming that all these people here are really, really, you know, big fans of the tournament scene, probably FGC, I'm assuming. But a lot of these people are like, I can stay at home and watch the fun. It's not really a problem. And I totally agree. It's an effort enough to try and get players to come to events, and as we all know, as players, it can be horrible to organize yourself, you know, compared to just waking up and turning on your smartphone or whatever device and watching the stream. Cool. All right, so that's interesting. Okay, which of these games would you like to see the most in the Neo Geo World Tour? Right, now we had two different questions. We put two sets of games up against each other because I'm evil like that. But also I'm also thinking about portability. I'm thinking about how we can actually bring those games in and what materials you actually need. And then sometimes I'm just, what have I done here? My goodness. Okay, well let's just see what we've done here. Right, so King of Fighters 11, King of Fighters 2002 UM, 98 FE, King of Fighters 13. Okay, I'm not thinking about logistics at all. I'm just putting these against each other. I have reasonings. King of Fighters 11 is you're going to be a tough one, right? Because as you know, it's only on PS2. So yeah, it's either grab some arcade machines, some Atomic Waves, or PS2s. Difficult. PS3 emulation, PS3 port emulated in Japanese, Asian market could be possible. Anyway, let's look at the results. So The big one is KOF 13. KOF 13 is one of the most recent famous titles in North America. Big hit, and also in Europe as well, and of course on Steam. It brought in a lot of fans. It did. I mean, okay, King of Fighters 12 had an impact, but for people who stayed, it's King of Fighters 13. I think the biggest title before that was probably Maximum Impact. Right, Maximum Impact was a big seller. But King of Fighters 13 is a big favorite here. 2002 UM. Notice I didn't put King of Fighters 2002 because I'm evil. And King of Fighters 11. Yeah, we've got a cult following for that, but looks like it's still cult. 98 FE. Yeah, it's not 98. It's FE. Final Edition. It's not UM. Yeah. So the biggest winners here are 2002 UM, which, you know, is going to be divisive for the community because, of course, wow, there's 2002 vanilla. But anyway, let's move on and let's see the same set, or a different set rather, same question, different set, but we've got 99, 97, 2002 vanilla, and King of Fighters 11. How does that work? And here, out of these sets, it's King of Fighters 11. Very interesting. So this question is definitely setting 2002 versus 99 is just whatever, man. But just to see again, yeah, you got some people like, yeah, underrated game. But 97, of course, very popular in certain parts of the world. We might say Asia or China, but it looks like, you know, I could find out if everyone here is voting from Asia, but if you put it up against 2002 and 11 wins. And we could talk about South America, the LATAM communities and their love for this game, but it's not beating 11. That's very interesting. And these people just like, yeah, I don't care about any of them. But here we go. So 11 is good, but of course logistics, wow, man, to get this to actually work is going to be a bit of a headache. Yeah, good luck to the team figuring this one out. But anyway, it just shows that it's out of these titles, it's the more favorite. But again, if we compare that to 13, I know. Right, so there's your popularity for votes for the King of Fighters, King of Fighters. For the next title for Neo Geo World Tour for them to consider. But then we've got talking about SNK stuff. Now, would you like to see merchandise and news on streams? As we were saying, if you control a stream, you can put whatever you want on it, which is fantastic because the people who love your stream, the fans, get to see the information they need, right? Not other stuff. It's pure stuff that you want, which is perfect for the consumer and the seller. So let's see what people say about that. Yes, they're happy. Pretty much, yeah, a little bit negative here, but generally, yeah, I'm fine, good. Happy to see that because it's related to your interests. So just checking, because some people don't want to see, you know, sales stuff or new stuff. They don't want it. I'm not interested. I'm just a gamer or whatever. But yeah, generally very clearly positive, so that's good. Right, SNK. Now, SNK's social media reach. Does it get to you? Does it work? Let's see what you think. Generally, yes. But it's quite a curve here. Yes. Interesting. So it's kind of similar, really. Some people, you know, hit the like button on SNK and just Facebook's feeding them with the particular interest they like. While other people are like, nah, I'm getting still lots of baby pictures in my way, and I don't see the news. Something for them to think about. Right. Okay, SNK World Championships. Of course, we know that they're coming. Now, this is definitely a question for the FGC, the tournament players, because some tournaments are with a point-based system. So that means that people would have to travel to other tournaments. In other words, to kind of steal points. But you might think that's absolutely crazy. So you have to go collect points, and then you would get enough points to qualify and be taken to the final grand finals in Tokyo, whatever, or Asia, wherever it is. But why would you do that where the other option is just win a tournament and win and you go, right? The point-based system is good, not really for the players, to be honest. I don't think it's really good for the players, but it's good for the scene. It's good for the It's good for the scene. It's good for the scene because it creates a lot of tension and competition. It's more intense. There's more on the line. There's more competition. There's more fighting, and then you have top players having to travel to different locations to build up their points, which means when you have a top player at your event, you get more interested because you think, oh my gosh, the local has to go against the legend, and then you want to go see it, and then other people are like, oh my god, I have to enter so I get a chance to play against, you know, highly skilled players. Wow, it's all fantastic. And so yeah, having players travel is great for the scene, but yeah, it makes it harder for you to win a qualifying spot. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be kind of obvious that people don't really want the point system, but let's see what people say. And I think a lot of people might not be interested. Oh, right, okay, so I'm completely wrong. We've got point system 261, single event qualification 283. So either people have a completely different idea of why they want that. Maybe they think they got better chance getting points because you can get more points from first place to 10th place or whatever. And good, 78 people didn't answer because, yeah, it doesn't concern them. But also that's what you want to see. So the people who did vote, who are not players, this is what they want to see. Like, okay. Yeah. Well, I think it's already been decided, but we'll see. Right, tournament winners can win cash prizes. How important is this to you as a spectator or player? Right? Should SNK spend money on game development? All right, we've got some very specific answers here. So number one, I think SNK should spend money on game development. Now, let's go through this before we forget because they're very long answers. So number one, bam, right? 142 people said, I think SNK should spend money on game development, not on big cash prizes, right? Cash prizes are not important. Wow, I wish I had full stops in here. Cash prizes. Oh dear. That's a bit of an error, isn't it? Well, the number two, fine, whatever. Let's imagine it's that. And if I mess up, I'll have to go back. I don't see any importance in the amount of money. Okay, that's number three. 80 people said, yeah, I think they can win £20 or $20, whatever. Then big cash prizes are important is number four. I think we're okay. So 172 people think, yeah, big cash prizes are very, very important. And then more money creates more excitement. Please make cash prizes as big as possible. 181. So if you've been following the current drama with the Japanese esports license, we don't have that problem over in the West so far. Hopefully it doesn't change, but over in Japan, you probably won't be winning any big prizes directly from any companies because it's going to put them in hot water with the law. The Jesu license avoids that problem because it's approved by the Consumer Affairs Agency, but there's a bit of backlash on that at the moment. It's a bit more complicated. I'm not sure of all the information, but anyway, the point is, most people, all right, okay, there's a comparison here. No, but a lot of people want to see big cash prizes, and of course we can see how that creates excitement. Okay, it seems quite clear. But then some people are like, yeah, no, forget this esports thing. Just put your money on development, and you can kind of see that SNK also needs to do this, and they can't just have money just floating everywhere. Okay, you know. Okay, maybe they do have a lot of money, but that money didn't necessarily come from games. It might have games. It came from consoles. It more likely came from mobile platforms. So when you tell SNK, hey, take your money from mobile platform where you're making all the money and put it onto gaming consoles where you're making a good amount of money, but not enough money or in comparison, why should they listen? I'll just say thanks to SNK for continuing to invest in the fully featured fighting games rather than the bash buttons on the mobile thing, because this is what we like. Well, at least I like it, definitely. So I'm in between these two options. It's like, well, yeah, more money, more development on fighting games, make them look on par with current releases. They've got their own style, but there are other companies out there with an amazing looking product, and some others with not an amazing looking product, which still manages to succeed. But anyway, throwing money on development is never a bad thing, right, in my opinion. But of course, building the player base and the scene and the attraction and advertising is also quite important as well. So I'll leave that to SNK. Now, where will you get your information for future Neo Geo World Tour or SNK news? The options we have were SNK's channel, and everybody's happy with that, which is interesting because certain countries cannot access Facebook. Neo Geo Twitter as well. Fighting game community, it's interesting. Some people still go to websites and other people rely on word of mouth. Word of mouth is very, very important, and it's probably still the most important one. If your friend tells you to do something, generally you're going to do it. And if you don't do it, they're not a friend. But people are invested in the SNK channel, so that's good. And same for the Neo Geo World Tour too, as well. Right. Yeah, good. Right. I like the sponsors. You're welcome. You're welcome, SNK. I like the sponsors which support Neo Geo World Tour. I agree. I disagree. Whatever. I disagree. I agree. Same as usual. So it's very, very interesting. So again, if you're SNK, you've got a channel, or Neo Geo World Tour, and you're putting sponsors on there. Your sponsors will be happy to know that generally only like what percentage is that? That is percentage. Give me the okay. Well, there we are. So 1%, 1.14% of people don't care about the sponsors. It's like, I don't care what sponsors you put. I don't care what money they're putting in. I don't care about them. I'm not going to buy their products. I'm not going to look at them. I'm not going to acknowledge them, right? But the rest of you are quite happy and maybe thankful that these sponsors are putting money into these tournaments, and maybe you'll even buy a product or say something nice about them. Okay, so that's good to see. Sponsors have got something, getting something back from the community for putting in their support. So let's move on to Samurai Showdown, and of course this is before the patches and stuff. So do you agree with the statement Samurai Showdown is amazing? Generally, yes. It's like, nah. Yeah, big fat yes. All right, good, wonderful. Netcode 1.03 is great. Now this was after a patch. People thought no answer. So people here either don't understand the question, or don't want to answer, or don't play online. Yeah. So definitely happy? No. Right? It's more like it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. These people are like, no, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah. Well, remember, netcode is a bit of a topic, because it's like, well, you should use netcode. No, you should use delay based. You should use delay based, which uses rollback anyway. Well, okay. And also, if there's nobody playing near you, it doesn't matter what netcode you're using. If you're put, if you're in Paris and you're fighting someone in Brazil, it doesn't matter what netcode, it's going to be crap. It's going to be a bad experience. If you've got a whole load of people near you, doesn't matter. Well, it does still matter what the netcode is, but if you've got a whole load of people near you, you're not going to notice that netcode is really, really bad because they're close. So there are variables to consider here, but But yeah, we can always like demand that SNK uses the best netcode they can, and they've already proved that they can actually use really good netcode, and it's interesting, Samurai Showdown, because I don't know, it seems to have got better after the latest patch. I kind of feel like King of Fighters 14 might have a better one. I don't know if it's the same, but looking at SNK Heroines, that's not the same netcode. I don't know what happened there. That's not the same netcode. It's not as good. So maybe, I don't know if Samurai Shodown's using the same one. I'm having a placebo. I don't know. But this is what the people are saying. So you either have to educate the people or you just have to do what they say and give them what they want. Make the magic happen. But yeah, generally, not the best response to that. So, how do you feel about the SNK, the Samurai Shodown lobby system? It's terrible, is number one. It's very bad. Bad, it's okay. It's good, it's very good. I think it's terrible, right? The first version was terrible, and then afterwards slightly better. It's better. It's better now. You get kicked out automatically now. Okay. No, that's better now. It's better now. But the beginning, it was terrible. And these people just like, yeah, I don't play online. I don't play with lobbies, so no answer. Okay. And here it was, it's okay. All right. So generally, it's okay. Now I would say it's okay. I still think it could be better. And I really hate the fact that only two people are playing in the lobbies. No, it's bad. It's bad. I'm sorry, it's bad. No, wait, no. King of Fighters 14, much better. But they need to implement the feature where you just have a match and then get kicked out, or set a limit or something to know that somebody's waiting in the queue. So at the moment it's auto rotate. All right, fair enough. It's better. But this Samurai Shodown, no, really irritating. Sorry, let's move on. So I want to attend the Samurai Shodown World Tour. Generally, yes. Nothing else to say about that. I want to watch the Samurai Shodown World Tour stream. Yes. Yeah, okay. It's interesting, actually. Yeah, attendance. You actually want to go to it, and you want to see it as well. All right, fine. How important is net play to you? Boom. That's it. And it's interesting because, look, suddenly all the people who were like, no, I'm not answering, they're answered. That doesn't really make sense. But okay, the answer is clear. Somehow the question was clear. Netcode is important. So, yeah, I'm confused. I don't know what happened there. But netcode is important. Everybody's voting on this. Netcode is important. So, I don't know what happened to all the players who said, I'm going to stay at home. I'm just going to play story mode. They're here. They're like, yo, netcode. We need it. It has to be great. And it has to have good lobbies. Everything. So it's clear. Clear. Right. How long will you continue to play Samurai Shodown? It's interesting. Because I've got some theories about that now. Number one is I've stopped. Nobody has. Well, okay. A couple people have stopped already. A few more weeks. A few more months. Yeah. I'll take a break and then come back when there's DLC. This is interesting because I'm actually in this. I think I'm going to just, because it's at the moment, the DLC is scheduled for every month. And I've paid for it. Yeah, I've got my season 1. I've paid for it, mate. So, yeah, I think I've. So every month, I'm going to come in, play with everyone, and then I'm going to go and play something else, and then I'll come back the next month. So it's kind of interesting because I don't have time, right? But it's interesting to see. And then here we got a big fat, huge reply of people saying, I'm going to keep playing for a long time. Now it's interesting because ranked mode is not what it used to be, but the lobbies are there. I do see people in lobbies. It's active, and I think also the DLC every month is also going to keep people coming back into the cycle. So that's really good. And 76 Foot said, don't care. All right, good enough. I'm excited for the DLC characters. Boof. Ooh, ah, ooh, e. Okay. Well, generally, yes. DLC of characters, of course. It's a thing for debate. Of course, some people don't like any of the DLC characters. Some people are waiting for one particular DLC character, so it's a bit more complex. But in general, people are happy and looking forward to it. I think that brings us to the end of the SNK survey. So thanks once again to everyone who gave us your input, gave us your feedback. Thank you so very much. I've handed out loads of game codes, and I'll do a few more after this stream, so keep an eye on the Orochinagi channels and on the Twitter. Keep an eye on my Twitter. Link will be in the description. Orochinagi.com, you might see it somewhere in the top left, top right, whatever. And that's the end. So thanks again for watching. I'm not sure if I'll do this again, but if I do, you know where to find me, so make sure you give us a follow. And I'll see you guys next time. Did I plug my t-shirts? No, I didn't. Oh no. Oh no. Don't sue me, SNK. I love you. Don't sue me. I love you. It's okay, man. Oh, uh-oh. Nobody saw that one. Nobody saw it.